Gentlemen, this is your NXT review on Tuesday night. Oh, I think the intro got cut there, but here we go again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your NXT review on Tuesday night, June 8th, 2021. This is Joseph Conlon here with the NXT Go Home Show before NXT Takeover in your house this Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on Peacock. The man is back. We got him back tonight on the Big Fight Field channel. He's going to be on here. You're going to see Cameron Johnson on the channel on 3 separate occasions this week, man. Starting tonight with talking about NXT. Cameron, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Joseph. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, man. You know what I feel like, man? I feel like I'm getting the big push right now. And I feel like I'm a wrestler in WWE getting the big push right now. They just putting me on everything. They just putting me on every show. That's what I feel like here, man. But all jokes aside, it feels great to be here. It feels great to be back for the NXT review. Yeah, it feels great to be back for the NXT review, and it's gonna be a good week because it's NXT week this week, so it's gonna be a good week.
Yep, you got yourself. You got a big spotlight on you this week, dude. You better knock it out of the park. But I got full confidence in you that you're absolutely gonna do that. So you got a big spotlight this week. What did you think about tonight's Go Home show?
I thought the night show was good, but we talked about this before we started recording, and we talked about this before we started recording, and we talked about this on Twitter a little bit. The excitement, NXT, the shows are usually pretty good. It's just there's not an excitement there for NXT anymore the way they're used to be. Like NXT to me is not must see. NXT to me is not must see. It's not must see the way AEW is, and it's not even must see the way SmackDown is most weeks. The way SmackDown is most weeks. And, I know this isn't a SmackDown review, but the only reason I'm saying SmackDown is must see because SmackDown has Roman Reigns, and everything Roman Reigns does, I think is must see. Everything Roman Reigns does, I think is must see. NXT, they've lost their they've lost their fire. They've lost their excitement, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because they're still trying to recover from last year. I don't know if it's just because they don't have Full Sail. I don't know if when Full Sail comes back, it's gonna feel livelier and more exciting again. I don't know, man. The shows are good. It's just I don't think anybody really cares.
Exactly. I totally see your point. Like we talked about earlier. What's the main? Why do people tune into NXT on a weekly basis? There's not really a solid reason besides, you're gonna get good wrestling matches and you're gonna get good in-ring work from the talent in NXT. That's good and all, but I need a character that I really need to be invested in, and I need a storyline that I'm really invested in. I'm not really deeply invested in a storyline in NXT right now. I am invested in some characters, like a couple characters in NXT, which we'll talk about here tonight. But another thing I want to talk about before we get into this review, and I don't know how long we're going to do the review for, so we can talk about this as long as we want. We missed the show last week, but I want to talk about the card Sunday for NXT TakeOver. Sunday's card is looking like a fatal 5-way for the NXT Championship with Cole, O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, and Karrion Kross. Raquel Gonzalez defending versus Ember Moon. We're getting a winner-take-all match with Bronson Reed and MSK versus Legado del Fantasma. We're getting a $1 million championship match with Cameron Grimes and LA Knight in a ladder match, which might be the match I'm looking forward to the most. No joke. And then Mercedes Martinez versus Xia Li, which, I mean, that match doesn't even deserve to be on TakeOver if you ask me. So out of those 5 matches, I'm really only invested in 2 matches. and that is the obvious main event and the $1 million title with Cameron Grimes and LA Knight. That is basically it. And I don't like saying that with NXT, but that's just how it is right now, man. Do you agree with me or no?
I agree 100%, man. I agree 100%, man. And we'll talk about this when we do the predictions video. But this card feels very weak. This card feels like a very weak takeover card. I'm not saying, and I'm not saying, and I'm not saying because the card is weak, takeover will be a bad show. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I
Absolutely.
think, I think it's impossible to have a bad. I think it's impossible to have a bad takeover show. Like I'll win the lottery. I'll win the lottery before you ever hear the words. Man, that was a bad takeover show. Before those words ever come out of my mouth, before those words ever come out of my mouth. So the shows are, uh, so the card, so the show should not be bad. I expect the show to be very good. This could end up being the sleeper show of the year. But I just look at a lot of these matches, and it's just this card feels weak, man. It does. It feels weak. I don't know if it's because NXT as a whole just isn't all that exciting, and I don't really care about the guys on here. I don't know if it's because they took pretty much their entire main event scene, because they do not have a strong main event scene at all. They took pretty much their entire main event scene and just threw them into one match, and just threw them into one match, and they just had to round up they just had to round out the card. But yeah, this card don't feel too good.
Nah, man, um, I agree with you. And we'll talk about it more on the preview predictions. And finally, before we get into the uh, show tonight, I want to say another thing. This fatal five-way for the NXT Championship, it could go two ways. It could either be one of the best matches of the entire year, or it's going to be a complete mess. So it could be 50-50 with this match, but to me, this feels lazy booking because this is NXT basically telling its audience, "Hey, we don't have a solid challenger that we've built up for a couple months to face Karrion Kross at this particular event. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take our top superstars and thrust all these guys to face Kross in a fatal five-way match." I don't know, but this feels like it's setting up Karrion Kross to lose the NXT championship. And I don't care if Adam Cole was holding up the NXT title tonight. It seems like Kross is being set up to lose, in my opinion. What do you think?
I don't think Cross is being set up to. Uh, I don't think Cross is being set up to lose. I think Cross is probably retaining the NXT title. I think Cross is probably retaining the NXT title, but him losing, I could definitely see happening. I could definitely see Karrion Cross losing and just being called up to Monday Night Raw, because Raw needs all the help they can get right now. Like they need some names on, like they need some names on that show. And I'm not, look, I'm usually one of those guys that sit there and hopes and prays if they call them up, don't call, if they, somebody gets caught up, don't get caught up to Raw. But 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 yeah, man, I think Karrion Cross. I can see him getting called up because on Raw, that main event scene, you got Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and that's it. You don't really have anybody else. Riddle's in the tag team, Orton's in the tag team, AJ's in the tag team, Strowman's been released. Strowman got released. You don't have anybody else, so I can see Karrion Cross going up to the main roster, being pushed right away. But yeah, I can see Karrion Cross losing. I don't think he will, but I can see him losing just because if he retains the title, who does he defend the champion? Like who's next? If Karrion Cross wins if he wins, who's next? Who is next for Karrion Cross to beat? You just put all five guys. Now you just put all your main event scene into a match and they won. And they won. What you gonna do? Karrion Cross and LA Knight at the next show? You gonna do Karrion Cross and LA Knight at the next show? Now I do think. Unless the plan is to build the Karrion Kross and Walter at Takeover, SummerSlam weekend, or to build Walter up. Who else do you have for Karrion Kross as NXT champion? You don't have anybody else. You just don't.
You just took the exact words out of my mouth, man. We'll probably reiterate this again with Escobar in the preview and predictions video. But yeah, I just had to get that off my chest real quick. But before we talk about tonight's NXT show, if you haven't checked out last night's Raw review, I gotta get it out there. Gotta bring up Raw really quick, Cam. If you haven't already, be sure to go check out the Monday Night Raw review last night. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre is gonna be inside Hell in a Cell. The Viking Raiders are new #1 contenders. And of course, Shayna Baszler was running from a doll last night. I had to bring it up, dude. But are you ready to talk about some NXT?
Let's talk about some NXT.
So we'd open up the show tonight with Oney Lorcan and Austin Theory. Didn't really have a reason to care about this match, but I thought this match was very good. The thing I got the most out of this is the crowd was chanting Austin Theory. They were chanting his name, and Johnny Gargano was getting cheered when he came out. And Theory lost eventually to Oney Lorcan. Lorcan got the win tonight, but I know we are in a small building, but if this is just a little preview of when NXT gets the full capacity, hopefully soon. My God, it needs to go back to Full Sail very, very soon. But if Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano are getting cheered like this, the way is going to be they're going to be really over when full capacity comes back, and I could definitely see management being like, "Hey, the crowd's giving away a very positive reaction here. These guys need to go babyface. Gargano, Theory." Maybe not LeRae and Indy Hartwell, but Gargano and Theory might have to go babyface because they're just really over with the NXT audience. What do you think about that? Do you leave them as heels, or do they turn face because of how over they are?
I think when the time comes, they turn them. I think when the time comes, they turn them babyface, and I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to see it. NXT ain't been the same since Johnny Gargano went heel, bro. Ever since Johnny Gargano went heel, that show ain't been the same, and it's because he's playing. It's because he's playing the wrong role. Johnny Gargano is the best babyface in the world. So I can't wait. I can't wait for the way to go babyface. I think them as babyfaces is going to fit them a lot more. I think it's going to do them a lot. I think that's going to do them a lot better and a lot more favors. And Austin Theory as babyface, I could see it. I could see it when he first got called. I could see it when he first debuted. When he first made his debut last year, I thought that this guy would be a great heel for them. But I could see Austin Theory as babyface. I think that could work.
Yeah, I mean, I really wasn't digging the way stuff first, but the past couple weeks of things like Gargano and Theory, they just work. I feel like they just work. It's kind of funny a little bit, and I would definitely cheer for them. I love Johnny. I love Theory. I don't really necessarily love Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. They're good and all, but Johnny and Theory going baby faces, I think would be the right thing down the road. Quick thoughts on the opening match. Oney Lorcan got the victory over Theory. Nothing really much to care about here, though.
I thought this is a very good match I thought this is a very good match. A very good opener between Lorcan and Theory. Lorcan gets the win. They're building. Lorcan gets the win. Simple booking 101. You have two guys that have partners. So before they face off at the pay-per-view, we're gonna put the partners of the two opponents in the match. So basic booking, but I thought it worked. I thought this is pretty good. I thought this is a pretty good match. You're telling Lorcan and Theory.
The next segment, we had Legado del Fantasma standing out in the ring. And Bronson Reed immediately interrupted, and this segment was basically making fun of Santos Escobar, of getting squished like a bug by Bronson Reed. They had to show this thing like 20 times. Then Legado challenged Reed to come fight. Reed came down there. MSK's music hit. Legado walked off, and Santos said, you know what? I'm going to take the North American title. These two are going to take the tag team titles. How about a 6-man tag, winner take all at NXT Takeover, and MSK, I think it was Wesley, who accepted the match behalf of Nash Carter and Bronson Reed. So we're getting a winner-take-all match for the tag titles and the North American title. Um, I don't know, man. It should be a great match. I could probably see this one kicking off the show, but man, there's why should I care? Obviously, MSK defeated Legato. First off, MSK defeated Mendoza and Wild just last week. So the fact that they're getting another shot at this show, it really doesn't make the most sense to me. But again, it should be a great match. I'd probably open up the show with this match, but there's no reason to care about it at all. You know?
I agree 100%. This really does make no sense. I have no idea why they blew off the. I have no idea why they blew off the tag title match with MSK and Legado del Fantasma on the show last week. Other than other than the fact that they simply needed to fill television time. So, other than that, I don't understand why they blew the match off on NXT. Like, you're 2 weeks away from In Your House. You couldn't save it for the pay-per-view, or you couldn't save the first interaction they had for In Your House. To me, it just made no sense. To me, it just made no sense. And I'm sure the match is going to be great. I think, you got 6 guys in this match that are really good at what they do. The match is going to be great. The match is going to be great. But it's just, why should I care about any of the guys involved outside of Santos Escobar and Bronson Reed? Like, why should I care about MSK and Legado del Fantasma? Fantasma had their title shot last week. They lost. Move on. Move on to somebody else. I don't get why they did what they did, but the match should be good.
I don't get it either, man. It just feels like Legato's being in an interim role, and I don't like that for Santos because he is much better than being an interim challenger, in my opinion. But I mean, we'll see what happens. It should be a great match, but I don't really have a reason to care about it. Speaking of no care, we have Mercedes Martinez versus Xia Li, set up for Takeover this Sunday. And I might as well talk about it now. The fact that this match is on Takeover, and we are getting a tornado tag next week with Ciampa and Thatcher versus GYV, and that is on NXT and not Takeover. That is just that's stupid, man. That's a Takeover worthy match, and this match with Martinez and Lee, like, why? I didn't even know they were feuding until tonight, and they're fighting at Takeover. Ciampa,
just feels so it just feels so thrown together. Like, yes. Lee and Martinez just feels so thrown together.
Yeah, man. And Ciampa and Thatcher versus GYV, they've been feuding for months, and I actually enjoy that feud. They've had great series of matches. Ended off at Takeover in a tornado tag. Hey, I'll take that. I don't get it, man. This match at Takeover, Mercedes Martinez and Xia Li, it spells pre-show to me. It spells pre-show, but it's not happening because the pre-show is only a half hour. So, what a waste of a spot of a Takeover match, right?
Yeah, I agree. If anything, this should be flipped. This should be happening on NXT next week, and GYV against Ciampa and Thatcher should be happening on Takeover. This match feels, Lee Martinez feels very thrown together. It just feels very thrown together. We didn't even get billed for it until last week, the week after that. The week after that, this match just feels very thrown together. Like, they got to fill out a pay-per-view card. So they said, why not do Liam Martinez there? Or why not do Liam Martinez on this show? Like, it to me, it just doesn't make any sense. And I guess the storyline for this match is that, is that in the first Mae Young Classic, it was either the first or the second one, whichever one Mercedes Martinez competed in. I think it was the first one. She beat the piss out of Xia Li in the first round, and now Xia Li's mad, and this is what kind of caused the change in Xia Li. It's just not doing it for me. It's just not. It's just not. This feels like this feels like it should just be on NXT. I'm not against them trying to build Zaya Lee or Mercedes Martinez up. It's just I don't like the way this feud has been built up.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, before I actually forgot to talk about Swerve Scott versus Killian Dane. Isaiah Swerve Scott gets the victory in a fine match over Killian Dane. Hit Row, their presentation, man. Their theme song came out today on WWE Music YouTube channel. If you guys haven't listened to it already, you guys gotta go check them out. Their new song fits them so perfectly, man. The presentation, all of them, their presentation makes them look like legit stars. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking to myself when they're making their entrance, man, this is a kind of faction that you want to build an entire show around.
Yeah.
Like this could work so good, man. Like I'm gonna go out there and buy a shirt, maybe. I don't know. I actually might do that, but they work. That the presentation makes them look like stars, man.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree 100%. Hit row looks fantastic. I've been digging Hit Row. I've been digging the segments. Hey, I've been digging the segments they've been doing. Their presentation looks great. Their promos look great. I like their promos look great, and I like their promos look great, and I like Swerve in this role. Swerve is fine. There's an itch in this role, man. I like it. Hit Row is something else. Hit Row is something else. Hit Row is great. Hit Row is absolutely great, and Hit Row is absolutely great. And when the time comes, I think Swerve is going to make a fantastic North American champion when that time comes, because that's the match I think they're building to, either at Takeover SummerSlam weekend or at a Takeover show in general. We're getting Reed and Swerve and Bronson, and when that happens, Swerve is winning the North American title. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Swerve is winning the title. Uh, Maybe Ashanti the Adonis and Top Dollar. Top Dollar. I love saying that name, Top Dollar. It's so fun to say. Maybe they go after the tag team titles. Maybe they go after the tag team titles. So you do the thing where they have all the gold. I would say Brianna Brandy in the B-Fab in the women's title, but I don't know how good she is in the ring. I saw some house show matches she had before the pandemic hit, and she's she wasn't really all that good. And she wasn't really all that good. Granted, she hasn't been doing this for this long. She signed in 2019, so she hasn't been doing this long. But yeah, but outside of BFAB, I think this faction is great. This is definitely something. This is definitely something you build around. This faction is great. They're great.
Yeah, I definitely think that Swerve is going to be a guy to take the North American title. But just for right now, just because I really don't know how good Top Dollar is or Brianna Brandy, I wouldn't put them in anything big. But Swerve, when the time, like you said, just when the time comes, you pull the trigger and you give Swerve the North American title. I would give Bronson a long reign with the North American title. I would make it toward maybe the end of the year. I think he needs to have a Keith Lee type reign as North American champion, because I still think that he's the best North American champion that NXT has ever had. And like have him beat opponent after opponent after opponent. I think that's what Keith Lee did. And I think that should be the same with Bronson Reed. So next up, this was smack that middle of the show. My favorite thing on the show. Honestly, if you guys didn't watch NXT, it's probably the only thing you should probably go back and watch. We had the $1 million priceless announcement from Ted DiBiase. First off, both Cameron Grimes and LA Knight are pulling up to the CWC at the same time. They are trash talking each other. I don't know about you, but this kind of gave me flashback. It's not necessary. It's not as good as MJF and Jericho, but it kind of gave me MJF and Chris Jericho comedy. Did Did you think about that, or am I just the only one?
I think that too. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. I laughed when they pulled up at the. I laughed when they pull up at. I laughed when they pull up at the same time with different cars and got Cameron Grimes talking trash to LA Knight about his car and LA Knight talking trash to Cameron Grimes about his car. I thought that very entertaining.
Yeah, man. So they get in the ring. Grimes immediately cuts off LA Knight with his theme music, and hanging above the ring is a ladder. So the $1 million man has indicated that it's going to be LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes in a ladder match Sunday. And then Grimes is like, I'm going to climb my way up to the moon, baby. But he has to know what he's climbing up for. And Ted DiBiase, I think we've all seen this coming. He reveals the $1 million championship. So Sunday, this is probably the match I'm looking forward to most. It's Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight versus in a ladder match for the $1 million championship. And man, Grimes is already getting over with the small crowd in NXT. Can you imagine him being so over in the full capacity crowd, even the 50 people saying "To the Moon" when his theme song's going on? And I'm excited, man. It's probably the match. Like I said, it's probably the match I'm looking forward to the most on all the matches Sunday night.
I I agree, man. I agree 100%. I agree, man. I agree 100%. Eli Drake. I refuse to call him LA Knight. Even though I did a couple minutes ago. I'm sorry about that. I refuse to call. I refuse to call him. I refuse to call him LA Knight. Eli Drake has been great in his role. And Eli Drake has been great in his role. Cameron Grimes has been great in his role. And Cameron Grimes, I hope WWE realizes what they have with this guy, in particular Vince McMahon. Because when the time comes that he gets called down to the main, when the time comes that he gets called down to the main roster, and we all fear, and we all fear, I hope Vince McMahon looks at Cameron Grimes and see what he has. Cameron Grimes could be a big money maker for WWE down the road. And I might sound crazy, but I see a lot of, and I might sound crazy for saying this, but I see a lot of Daniel Bryan and Cameron Grimes. I do, I really do. I see a lot of Daniel Bryan and Cameron Grimes. They both started, and I see a lot of, I see a lot of Daniel Bryan and Cameron Grimes. They both started out as baby faces, which is what Grimes started out as in the breakout tournament. They then went, they then went heel, and it was really that heel side of Daniel Bryan that, that we really got to saw, that we really got to see a lot of his personality, a lot of his personality and his comedic, a lot of his personality and his comedic side. We saw that with Cameron Grimes. Grimes went heel. He was doing the whole to the moon thing. He'd come out. Cameron Grimes, every time Cameron Grimes would come out, he would crack you, Cameron Grimes would crack you up. He would make you, he would make you laugh. And I hope when Vince McMahon, I hope when he gets caught up, I hope he realizes what he has in Grimes, because Grimes could play any role you need him to play. I said similar to Daniel Bryan, but if I'm going to be more realistic here, similar to what Sami Zayn is on the main roster. Sami Zayn, he's not in the spot we all want him to be in, which is main eventing shows, which is main eventing shows, which is main eventing shows, and which is main eventing shows. And Sami Zayn, I think he has been one of the guys that's been called up from NXT. He hasn't really done much on the main roster, but you look at Sami Zayn, he's in that goofy mid-card comedy heel role on SmackDown, and he's got multiple IC title reigns with that title. And you just know when Sami Zayn goes back babyface, which might happen eventually, you just know he's gonna kill it in that role. I think that's what Cameron Grimes could be to the main roster if he gets caught up. And I just hope they realize what they have in him. Cameron Grimes is great. LA Knight is great. Ted DiBiase in his old age is still great. I am very disappointed that we did not get a segment with Virgil. That we did not get a segment with Ted DiBiase, with the Cameron Grimes and Virgil. Very disappointed in that. Virgil couldn't make his F money. But overall, I thought but overall, I thought this segment was great. I think all men involved have been great, and I think this match is gonna. I think this might be I think this might be the sleeper match of the year. To be perfectly honest with you, when Cameron Grimes wins the North American, when he not the North American, when he wins the $1 million title, I think that's gonna be a great moment.
Man, I want to believe what you're saying with comparing him to Daniel Bryan and Vince, seeing a lot in Cameron Grimes, but man, Triple H is probably Triple H staying in NXT with him is probably his best bet. He will absolutely be a future NXT champion in my opinion, but just the way the main roster has been, I have no interest in seeing Cameron Grimes on Raw or on SmackDown. Just look at what's going on with Keith Lee. Look at what's going on with Damian Priest. Shayna.
I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. When he gets caught up, I expect him to be messed up like a lot of those people were. I expect him to be messed up like a lot of people were. I don't have high hopes for him when he gets caught up to the main roster. I just hope, I just hope that they see what they have in this guy. This guy could be a big money player for WWE down the line, and he's extremely young. He's only like 20. He's only like 27, 28 years old. He's somewhere in that range. He's extremely young, and I think he could be a big money player for WWE down the line if they play their card straight with this guy.
He can be a top babyface on the main roster, man. People love Cameron Grimes. He's not over in person, not yet, because there's not enough people there. But he is super over on in the wrestling community. Everybody loves Cameron Grimes, and you're right. They have something big in Cameron Grimes in the future, and when the time's right, they need to connect with that. Whenever he goes up to the main roster, I don't know, but I definitely see NXT champion, NXT North American champion in his future. But we will talk more about Cameron Grimes on the preview predictions with his match with LA Knight coming up on Sunday. Really quickly, we had a segment with Poppy. As Candice LeRae was out there, she called out Poppy. She wanted to fight Poppy. I don't know why. But then she said, I don't wrestle, but I know someone that does. Out comes Io Shirai. She attacks Candice LeRae, and Candice is running off. Io Shirai stays in NXT, thank goodness. That's the positive thing, man. Io Shirai stays in NXT and does not get buried by Bruce on the main roster.
Thank the Lord, thank the Lord, thank the Lord. He listens to our praise. Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, he listens to our praise. He listens to our praise. We prayed and prayed and prayed. He don't get caught up, or she don't get caught up to the main roster. And this prayer in particular, they listen. Because she's staying in NXT. Thank the Lord. I fear for her when she gets caught up. I fear for her.
I do too, but hey, right now we're good. Right now we are good. They teased a rematch between her and Raquel Gonzalez. And when Io Shirai walked to the back and she stared right into the eyes of Raquel Gonzalez. So maybe we're going to do that match again, and then the sad day will come. So we just got to keep praying, man. Right now we're good, but I don't want to see Io Shirai on the main. Look at Asuka. What is Asuka doing on the main roster? What's Asuka doing on Monday Night Raw right now? She's doing nothing. She is gonna end up just like Asuka on Monday Night Raw, man. It's sad.
I know this ain't a Raw review, but it's very weird with Asuka because it seems like with Asuka, she's either doing something or she's doing nothing. Like, it's very weird. It's very weird with her. It either seems like she's on TV every week, she's the champion, or she's challenging for the... it seems like she's either doing something or she's doing absolutely nothing. It's like Vince goes through this period with Oscar where he loves Oscar, where he loves Oscar women, and then the next minute he just can't find anything for the woman to do, or just doesn't know what to do with the woman. It's very weird.
Damn, actually, once you said that, I kind of agree with you right there, man. But we are gonna move on. We had Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai. There's the last build. Like, we'll talk about the match in a little bit. The match was fine for what it was. But dude, how did we even get to this match at Takeover? Because like, weren't they like what? How long have they been feuding for? Like 2 weeks, and all of a sudden we get an NXT. Here we go, 2 weeks build. Boom. NXT Women's Championship match. Ember Moon and Raquel Gonzalez at Takeover. Like, where's the story? Why do I care?
It's been 2 weeks. This build feels weak. I don't know why they just, instead of doing Mercedes Martinez as Zia Lee, I don't know why they just didn't do Mercedes Martinez and Raquel Gonzalez on this show. Other than the simple fact that they need ways to fill up TV time. So like, I guess that's why. But it's just, I don't understand it. Ember and Raquel have been feuding for 2 weeks. I've been feuding for 2 weeks. The match happened. I think it was 2 weeks ago. The match happened. It was Ember and Dakota. It was Ember and Shotzi against Dakota and Raquel. Shotzi and Ember. Shotzi and Ember win, and then out of retaliation, Raquel Gonzalez beats the piss. And then out of retaliation, Raquel beats the piss out of Shotzi Blackheart while Dakota Kai makes Ember Moon watch. And now Ember Moon is getting vengeance for her friend, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what this storyline is, but it says 2 weeks of build and just feels thrown. Another match that just feels thrown together. It feels like they just threw it together on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's them going out saying, "Hey, we need people to." We need Gonzalez to beat a bunch of people. So we're gonna throw Ember Moon out there, and it's no build whatsoever. 2 weeks of build. I remember we've had feuds like Ember Moon versus Asuka. They've had months of build. Is Ember Moon gonna be the one to beat Asuka's undefeated streak, man? Do you remember that time?
Oh man, bro. Was a simpler time. A better time is such a simpler time, man. They would tease, us subtly, and they would tease it subtly too. They'd be so subtle with it, and then when it actually happened, it'd be like, yes, this is the match I want. This is the match I want. Now it's just, it's the match I want. Now it's just they just throw stuff against the. Now it's just. That's just very main roster us, where they just throw stuff against the wall. Or they just throw stuff against the wall and just go, we need a match. So, we need a baby face for Raquel to beat. Ember's not doing anything. Ember's not doing anything. So we'll do Raquel. It's like they write it on a sheet of paper. We'll do Raquel and Ember at Takeover in your house. And on Takeover in your house. Boom, there you go. There you go. That'll be the pay-per-view card. It's just thrown together.
Unbelievable, man. The final segment we had on the show was the Fatal 5-Way Face-Off. Regal was standing in the ring telling Cross that I run things around here. Even though you're the champion, you don't run things around here. Cross immediately shut him up and said, you do nothing around here. I run things around here. So then we get Kyle O'Reilly coming out, and he cuts a promo, and Johnny Gargano comes out, and he cuts a promo. Pete Dunne comes out, he stands on cuts a promo. Adam Cole's on the Titantron, reminding Karrion Kross how he absolutely owned him on the mic last week. They made you special by having the entrance music, the smoke, the music, the girl. You know how they make Adam Cole feel special? They ring the freaking bell. Man, I still remember that. I've watched that segment like about 10 times, man.
That was a great line, man. That was a great line.
Unbelievable. You couldn't lace my boots. and I'd run circles around you. And anybody that watches pro wrestling, not sports entertainment, folks, pro wrestling, knows that. Vince McMahon hates pro wrestling, by the way. I meant to say that last night,
That's
but I
obvious.
forgot to.
That's pretty obvious. Look at Raw. You got people like Nick, we got people like Nick Khan saying, "We don't do wrestling. We do sports entertainment. Or we don't do wrestling. We do entertainment." They can't even do that properly.
Oh, man. Unbelievable, man. Oh, God, I got myself cracked up now. So, continuing on with this segment, Adam Cole was like, why should I come out there 5 days before TakeOver after I embarrassed all of you last week? And then he said, I'll see you boys at TakeOver. Then Kyle O'Reilly's like, well, if he's not gonna, if Adam Cole's a bitch to start the brawl, I guess I will. He slaps Cross in the face. O'Reilly and Cross brawl. Pete Dunne and Gargano get into it. Cross is destroying he's destroying everything in his path. Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, and Gargano really don't get much offense. Cross is standing up there with the NXT Championship. All of a sudden, Adam Cole super kicks him in the face, gives him the last shot, and the final image we see of tonight's show is Adam Cole holding up the NXT Championship, saying, Adam Cole, baby. I don't care if an opponent, a challenger, was holding the NXT Championship high. The way they've set this match up, I just can't believe that Karrion Kross is going to walk out of Sunday as the champion. Plus, as far as creativity goes, it would be better off with someone else being the NXT champion than Karrion Kross. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I agree 100%, man. I agree 100%. It's like, I agree 100%. It's like it's like we said earlier to start this review. If Karrion Kross retains the NXT Championship, who else is there on? Who else is there on the brand to challenge him for the title? To challenge him for the title, you're gonna do Karrion Kross and Santos Escobar. Karrion Kross and LA Knight, Karrion Kross and Isaiah Swerve Scott. Believe me, I love those guys. I do, and believe me, I love those guys. I do, but I just don't think you could put those. I just don't think those are takeover worthy matches. I think they're NXT. I think they're NXT television matches. I just don't know if they're takeover worthy matches. It's like if Kross wins, if Kross retains, who else does he defend against? Meanwhile, with Adam Cole, I guess you could, meanwhile with Adam Cole, there's the obvious guy in Kyle O'Reilly. I guess you could bring Finn Balor back. I guess with Adam Cole, you have more options, but still though, the NXT title scene feels very weak right now in NXT. And I think you can get a more, and unless the plan is to do Kross versus Walter for the NXT title. Unless that's the plan, I don't think Karrion Kross. I think you can get a much better show out of Adam Cole being the NXT champion. Really, anybody else being the NXT champion, and that's not. Look, I'm not taking anything away from Karrion Kross because I think Karrion Kross is going to be huge. I think when the time comes, he gets caught up to the main roster, even in NXT. I think he's going to be huge. Is he the best wrestler in the world? No, he's not the best wrestler in the world. He's good, but is he the best wrestler in the world? No, he's not. But with Karrion Kross, Karrion Kross has a superstar presentation about him to where if he's just good, in the ring, or he can go in there and he doesn't embarrass himself, if he can go in there and he doesn't embarrass himself, you're looking at a guy who's going to be a potentially big star. But you're looking at a guy who's going to be a potentially big star. But Karrion Kross right now, but I think you can get a much better show and a much better product with Adam Cole as the NXT champion than Karrion Kross.
Oh, of course. And we're going to talk about all of this on the NXT Takeover in Your House preview prediction show with the NXT co-host Cameron Johnson and another member of the CNE podcast, that is Escobar Morales, later this week on the Big Fight Fuel channel. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up tonight's NXT review here on the channel. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching the review tonight. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Big Fight Fuel channel. Busy week here on the channel. It all leads up to Sunday night's NXT Takeover in your house, where we will be doing a post-show review here on the Big Fight Fuel channel. Myself and Cameron Johnson's going to be joining me on that big post-show review. So Sunday night is a big night here on the channel. Comment down below your thoughts about tonight's episode of NXT. Hit the like button if you like what myself and Cameron Johnson had to say about tonight's NXT Go Home show. Follow me on Twitter at Colin_Joseph. Cam, where can they follow you on Twitter, man?
Follow me on Twitter at Cam71101.
All right, and also go ahead and subscribe to the CNE Podcast YouTube channel. It is up right now. Go ahead and create that. Go ahead and subscribe to that. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you possibly tomorrow, but if not tomorrow, I will see you Thursday here on the Big Fight Fuel channel. And have a good night. Stay safe, and as always, stay classy.